2030, data for development and lifestyle for environment. So, we all know that high quality data is very important for meaningful policy, and meaningful policy is required for the countries to achieve this.
Good evening, and seriously apologize for the delay. We got held up in traffic. Just to kind of give you a brief. The last time I think all of you participated in the briefing, I think you all were told that the DWG, or the Development Working Group, Sherpa calls it as the heart and soul of the entire G20 process. This is a very, very important working group. All of you know that the G20 as a grouping primarily looks into global economic issues. And we are in, this is 2022, and our presidency will get into 2023, November. We are speaking currently midway in meeting, the 2030 agenda. All of you know that the deadline for attainment of the global 17 sustainable development goals is 2030. And the progress of the last 2 years presidency work with all the G20 member countries to accelerate progress towards attainment of the sustainable development goals. So this is the main crux. How can India use its presidency to fast track, push the development through this process? So overall, I think if you look at the DWG as such, it came into origin after the financial crisis of 2009. So for the first time, you had the DWG in 2010, and since then, the DWG actually the way it works, it also coordinates its work with all the other working groups. For example, in the last time when we all met, we were told that Amitabh Kant, who's the Sherpa, under him there are 13 working groups. So each working group deals with a separate subject.
That coming from a G20 grouping will have an emphasis of really changing, not otherwise securitized, are now. The only way that we can bring a divided world together is by looking at addressing the needs of those who are most in need. So if you look at the people who are suffering, and you have to address the humanitarian concerns, we will find a way to even work through the divisions. So this is really the approach that we are taking. And when we are approaching some of these issues, the emphasis is also that we depoliticize them, because also in the last 1 or 2 years, what we have seen is even issues which are very simple, like food security, energy security, simple, not so I think the first emphasis that we are putting at this stage in terms of how our models are replicable and how they can also be customized in other developing countries with the help of international organizations which will assist us with the G20 understanding to take them everywhere, and also seeing how other countries are utilizing some of similar models and how we can learn and others can learn from them. Big idea on climate action. Because so far in the last several years, the climate discussions have gone on in a way that they have not really happened in conjunction with development discussions. India has set for itself very ambitious goals on climate. But at the same time, for a large number of developing countries, the development agenda, especially in the face of pandemic, is also important. So for us, the way we look at life is how you can bring climate and development agendas together and really provide the ways and means, the nuts and bolts of how you'll achieve your net zero and other climate goals that we have set for ourselves. So I think these are some of the contours as we have, as we wanted to tell you, focusing on the needs of those most in need, developing countries, the agenda of Global South being at the center stage of G20, depoliticizing.
Internal GDP है या आपके जो economic strength है, वो शायद हर देश का अपना differences है. So इससे बहुत फर्क पड़ता है कि सबसे जो developing world है, तो वो ये target को पहुंच नहीं पाएंगे. So ये G20 का जो grouping है, जो 20 countries का जो grouping है, ये अगर मिलके कोई डिसीजंस लेते हैं तो इसका असर पूरा वर्ल्ड संसार पे पड़ता है, क्योंकि अगर ये कंट्रीज डिसीजन ले लेते हैं तो इसका असर अभी आपने सुना है जॉइंट सेक्रेटरी ईनम गंभीर ने भी कहा है कि हमारे जो मीटिंग्स में जो ये G20 देशों के अलावा इंटरनेशनल ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस भी पार्टिसिपेट करते हैं।
Ms. Gambhir talked about depoliticization of developmental issues. Ambassador, when I think as the issue of politicizing, in fact, this entire conclave was overshadowed. We asked this question to Mr. Khan also, what happened in China and India also. A lot of experts are now arguing that as India has got this opportunity basically as a G20 presidency, they should take up a certain kind of a can use this platform to mobilize a kind of a support against such countries who are taking or such kind of a stand or posing a threat.
See, I think your question should be addressed, I think, not over here, because the G20 is an economic grouping. So I think I would ideally, recommend that, you raise this question with the spokesperson, the official spokesperson of the foreign ministry, because you see, this grouping doesn't actually look, there's going to be some discussions. Once we have discussions, we will be in a far better position to tell you as to where we are headed. But among the many, one of the things is that we are planning for, high-level principles of life. We are planning to see if all the G20 countries can come together. See, the whole thing of that process has not been derailed. The final declaration was adopted through consensus. And secondly, the International Forum for Migration, the Review Forum, it took place after the world adopted the Global Compact on Migration, and even that was adopted through consensus. And most recently, in the month of prior to the start of the 77th session of the General Assembly, the General Assembly